Hello there, my dear friends. Welcome. My name is Arthur, and I'm so glad you could join me today. Go ahead, pull up your favorite comfortable chair, take a deep breath, and let the rest of the world just drift away for a little while. If you have a fresh, warm cup of coffee or tea nearby, take a sip and wrap your hands around the mug. Today, I have a story that I think will warm your heart, a gentle reminder of the quiet treasures we often leave behind in the attic of our memories, and how love always finds a way to bridge the years between generations. So, make yourself at home, and let's step back in time together. The summer sun fell through the tall windows of the old porch, casting long golden bars across the worn floorboards. Outside, the cicadas hummed their steady afternoon lullaby, a sound that always made 74-year-old Thomas feel as though time had slowed down just for him. Sitting across from him at the kitchen table was his granddaughter Clara, her small hands resting beside a battered silver pocket watch. It wasn't just any watch. It was a heavy, antique Elgin timepiece, its casing dulled by decades of dark storage in the back of a hallway drawer. The glass crystal was cracked like a spiderweb, and the hands were frozen stubbornly at 4:15. Clara had found it while helping him organize the old hallway linen closet earlier that morning. "Grandpa," she'd whispered, holding the cold metal up to the light. Whose was this? Thomas had taken a deep breath as the familiar weight settled into his palm. The faint scent of polished brass, oil, and old leather instantly pulled him backward through the decades, straight into the summer of 1962. He had been 17 then. He could still picture his own father, a quiet, hard-working man whose hands were always dusted with cedar sawdust or grease from the family garage, holding that very watch. His father had carried it every single day. Thomas remembered the quiet, rhythmic tick-tick-tick that seemed to keep time for the entire household. It was the sound that signaled his father was home from work, the sound that marked Sunday dinners, and the sound that sat softly on the nightstand while the house slept. When his father passed away in the autumn of 1978, the watch had stopped. Thomas had wound it once, but the internal springs were tired, and eventually the ticking faded into silence. Unable to bear the sight of the frozen hands, Thomas had wrapped it in a soft flannel cloth and tucked it away, letting the years gather over it like fallen leaves. Now sitting with Clara, Thomas felt a quiet pull in his heart. "This belonged to your great-grandfather Clara," Thomas said softly, his thumbs tracing the worn floral engravings on the back. He was a man who believed that time wasn't something to be rushed. He used to say that a watch doesn't just tell you the hour. It reminds you of who you're spending it with. Clara tilted her head, her bright eyes wide with curiosity. "Can we fix it?" Thomas smiled, a gentle warmth washing over him. "We can certainly try." That afternoon, the dining room table transformed into a tiny workshop. Thomas brought out a small wooden box of precision tools, tweezers, tiny screwdrivers, and a magnifying loupe that had belonged to his uncle. Together, grandfathers and granddaughters took their time. Thomas showed Clara how to gently remove the outer casing, revealing the delicate, intricate golden gears beneath. As they worked, the quiet room filled with stories. Thomas told her about the warm Friday nights in the 1960s, riding in the bench seat of his father's pickup truck down to the local diner. listening to the radio play classic tunes while the night air blew through the open windows. He spoke of the unconditional patience his father had shown him when learning to drive, and how that little silver watch was always pulled from a vest pocket whenever they pulled back into the driveway. Clara listened intently, her small fingers carefully holding the tiny screws as Thomas cleaned the internal balance wheel with a soft, natural camel hair brush. With a microscopic drop of watchmaker's oil applied to the jewel bearings, the old gears began to shine once more under the soft sunlight. "All right, sweetheart," Thomas whispered, his hand steady as he offered the winding stem to Clara. "Gently now. Turn it toward the sun. Just a tiny bit." Clara held her breath. She carefully pinched the tiny crown between her index finger and thumb, giving it 3 gentle turns. For a second, nothing happened. The quiet of the room felt almost heavy, but then with a delicate, steady click, the tiny balance wheel vibrated to life. Tick, 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 tick. The sound was soft, clear, and perfectly rhythmic. It filled the sunny kitchen, echoing off the wooden cabinets and porcelain teacups. Thomas closed his eyes for a moment, feeling a lump rise in his throat. It was the exact same sound he had heard as a boy sitting on the porch steps, waiting for his father to walk up the drive. The gap of 48 years seemed to melt away in a single breath. Clara gasped softly, a radiant smile spreading across her face. "It's breathing again, Grandpa. It's alive." Thomas opened his eyes and looked at his granddaughter, seeing the reflection of his own family's history alive in her bright, hopeful expression. He carefully reached into his pocket and popped open the back cover of the watch, a secret compartment he hadn't opened since he was a young man. Folded inside was a tiny yellowed slip of paper, written in his father's steady, looping cursive. He unfolded it gently and read the simple words aloud. "Time spent with the ones you love is never lost." Thomas wiped a quiet tear from his cheek and smiled softly. He placed the small piece of paper back into the compartment, closed the latch with a satisfying click, and gently placed the silver watch into Clara's small hands. "This is yours now, Clara," Thomas said softly, "to remind you that no matter how fast the world moves around us, the love we share always keeps time." What a beautiful truth that is, isn't it? The things we pass down aren't just objects made of metal, wood, or paper. They are vessels holding our memories, our values, and our love. When we share those stories with the young ones in our lives, we make sure that those precious moments are never truly forgotten. I'd love to hear from you today. Do you have a special heirloom, a watch, a piece of jewelry, or an old family treasure that brings back sweet memories of your parents or grandparents? Please, take a moment to write it down in the comments below. Reading your memories brings so much joy to my heart, and it helps our wonderful community stay connected. If this story brought a smile to your face today, please consider giving this video a gentle like and subscribe to the channel so we can spend more afternoons together. Until next time, my friends, take good care of yourselves, hold your loved ones close, and remember that every moment is a precious gift. Goodbye for now.